Hello, and welcome to the Culture Track at the third annual Python Web Conference. I'm Laura from 6 Feet Up, and I'm thrilled to welcome Ariel Crawley as our next presenter.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for allowing me to join you today. I'm excited to talk with all of you about looking outside of your network. So, in 2020, we have heard about diversity, equity, and inclusion just as much as we have heard about COVID in 2020. So, what I really want to talk about today is not just really the importance of diversity, equity, and inclusion, but really discussing with you what are some ways that you can open this pipeline in your organization, no matter if you're at an entry level position, mid leadership, or leadership position. So let's just start with a few statistics and then move our conversation from there. So, according to the National Center for Women in Technology, women account for about 25% of women working in tech. But when we go into those groups and look a little deeper in regards of racial background, we have about 5% is Asian, 3% is Black, and 1% is Hispanic. And when we look at the broader scale of looking at male and female, those racial groups percentages seem to be within the same accord. So, what I really want to talk about today is how you can look outside of your own network to create a more DEI space for employees to enter, but also for you to retain those that enter from these different groups. So first, I want to talk about is community college. I am based here in Indianapolis, and I am part of a group called Indy Women in Tech. We are a nonprofit organization that is designed to helping more women enter the tech space through scholarships, emergency assistance, childcare assistance, and mentoring. So, what we do is really try to help people where they are so that they can get over those barriers that might be preventing them from entering into a career in tech. So, one of those ways is that we are partnered with a local community college here in Indiana called Ivy Tech Community College. They're the largest statewide single accredited organization in the United States, but they are also known for having a great IT program. And unfortunately, when looking at tech, we always assume that the person needs to have a 4-year degree. They need to come out with having all these amazing skills, which is true and can be helpful, but a 2-year degree or a certificate from a community college can do the same thing. So, one way I would encourage you to look outside your network is to connect with your local community college. If you are in the Indiana area, there is their great vice president of School of IT. Her name is Linda Calvin. I can include her information in the face to face later on today, but she has been a great advocate at Ivy Tech for getting more of their students into full-time positions that fit within the salary mark. And then also within the organization, they do a great job of making sure that not only are students leaving with a 2-year degree or a certificate, they're also leaving with those certifications that industry is looking for right now. So CompTIA, A plus, Security plus, even looking at AWS and cloud, those are things that students are leaving with right now that can be very beneficial to your organization and your workforce. So you're not necessarily getting students that couldn't make the mark, are not sure where they are. They're just looking to get into tech, but get into tech fast, and they have those supports at community college so that they're able to build those skills, those certifications, and also gain that professional development and mentorship that they need as well, so that they're able to excel within the workforce. My next group that I would encourage you to use for looking outside your network is boot camps. We're starting to see a lot of boot camps pop up within India, within the country, but one that is particular that I'd like to talk to about today is 1150 Academy. So 1150 Academy is another organization that my group, Indy Women in Tech, is partnered with. And what we do with them is same thing. We offer scholarships, emergency assistance, distance childcare so that women within these programs are able to complete their academic program. It's a 12-week program, but they're able to do it with the assistance and the backing, and also already having some people in their background helping them to find employment. So with boot camps, these are people who already have professional experience. They're just looking to go back to school to increase those skills. So why not invest in those people? And when able to connect with a boot camp such as 1150 or even Kinsey Academy, which is both based here in Indianapolis, you're able to make those connections and also get in on the ground floor. So you can see that talent grow throughout that time that they're in that boot camp. And then you're able to invite them onto your workforce. So you already know they have the credentials, you know they have the education, you know that they're able to go at a fast pace because they're learning all this within a 12-week program. So I really encourage you to look at boot camps as a way to find talent within the DEI space, and also just another way for you to look outside your network. Next group that I would encourage you to look at is, because DEI is not just African American or women, there is also LGBT and other ethnicity groups. And one of those groups that you can look at is just in general minority community groups. There are so many groups that are available here just in Indiana, but also throughout the country that I would encourage you to look at. One of those is Out in Tech. Out in Tech works with LGBT professionals who are looking to either transition into the tech workspace or be able to find community as LGBT within the tech community. So they are very good at hosting, job fairs with organizations that work with their culture and that is culturally aware. So being able to get in the ground door with those, you're able to create those pipelines where you have just that pipeline into that culture coming to your organization. So you're able to learn more about them and they're able to learn more about you as an organization. We also have Urban League. National Urban League is an organization which works with primarily African Americans in various community groups. And they just recently in 2019 started a tech initiative where they're working to get more minorities in tech. So just making that connection with that group as well, you're able to start that pipeline and start seeing those talent come in. And then next, I would say looking at local community centers. If you are in Indianapolis, there's the MLK Center, which recently partnered with Best Buy to create a teen tech center. So at this teen tech center, they are teaching students IT support, cybersecurity, data analytics, and also just some general areas of where tech might go into music. And so being able to start those connections, you can make those introductions early within your pipeline and within your organizations so that people can really learn about you and learn about what you're doing and where your talent gaps are and where you need more people. And then last but not least, as I said, I am with Indy Women in Tech. And so looking at female groups. Unfortunately, female groups are one of the areas in tech where we're not growing as much as we could, as well as other racial groups. So I would encourage you to look at different groups that are working to get more women in tech. Shameless plug, Indy Women in Tech, we work really hard to connect with different organizations within the tech community so that we're able to help our students who are learning at 1150 and Ivy Tech to be able to find jobs as soon as they're graduating. We have been successful in those areas. For instance, at Ivy Tech Community College with our program for at least 2 years now, our females have been able to have 100% placement rate within 6 months of graduation. For a lot of our students, that is unheard of, especially in various industries. So for us to be able to get those ladies educated, also knowledgeable, be able to network and find job placement soon. That's something that we're very, very happy about. And then also just being able to look at other female groups as well. So there's women in high tech. And then also you don't always have to look at adult groups. There's other groups such as Girl Scouts, which has, as of 2019 has taken a STEM track into badges. So no longer are we seeing an organization that is all about cookies. We're seeing an organization that is looking to introduce girls into STEM at an early age. So being able to connect your organization to a badge, or being able to host different activities where the young ladies can learn more about STEM, or just get a fun introduction, even if it's just something simple as making slime or creating a little version of their self that can walk around on their computer. That's something that you as an organization could be doing to start your pipeline a little bit early, but it also helps introduce you to other groups such as parents who are looking for employment, and maybe this could be an early introduction into STEM for them as well. And then what I also want to talk about is that as quickly as we're working to try to get women, African Americans, Hispanic, Asian, and other DEI groups into STEM and into tech, we are also just working as hard to make sure that we are retaining them. So from what we're seeing also from the National Center for Women in Technology is that we have 35% of women who enter into the tech workforce are leaving within 5 years of making that introduction. And most time within that 5 year range, that is when you're really making that leap into leadership. You're looking to become a lead, maybe a manager, maybe even into C-suite level with some of the startups, but you're unable to because you're not staying within that organization. So one thing I'd like to talk about is not only just getting people into your pipeline, but also just making sure that your pipeline is not leaking. So some tips on what you can do within those areas. I'd like to highlight UKG, United Kronos Group, which recently just formed. They're formerly known as Kronos. But we were able to shadow with them and learn about all the great work that they're doing, and took some great takeaways that maybe you can take away to your organization. First one is mentoring and affinity groups. So when you're having groups come in, welcoming them into your organization, think about pairing those new employees with senior level employees, or employees that have been within your organization a certain amount of time, maybe over 5 years, maybe over 10 years, depending on what's the life cycle of your organization. And also creating affinity groups where people who are LGBT or African American or females or single moms or working moms are able to find their tribe within their organization. And while they are still working for the organization, they're able to find other people who can connect with them. And can also connect with them in the workforce. A sense of belonging is very important. And with those affinity groups and mentorship, you create that very early so that your employees feel a sense of, this is where I want to be, this is where I want to work, and this is where I want to strive and thrive within this organization. The next thing that I would like to highlight is leadership programs. A lot of times we're not seeing leadership programs being created because sometimes tech organizations are doing so much, or they're scaling at such rapid rates. They're just kind of taking whoever is there doing most of the work. But sometimes when you look from that lens, you're not always able to see the people who are shining behind the scene. So creating leadership programs where you're already going on and teaching those new new employees what is needed to get to the next level of management, what is needed to get to the next level within the C-suite. Those kind of tasks and workshops can be very helpful. For instance, with UKG, they have been able to host many workshops throughout the year. That's kind of a leadership program. And it's not something that you have to sign up for and go through all the different workshops. It could be something that you pull pieces of that you need. For instance, one of them is budgeting. A lot of times when you're in those entry level positions, you don't realize that leadership is a lot of knowing your budget and where your budget is going. But these aren't always things that are taught if you're doing a IT program. So taking a budgeting workshop so you can learn about money management from an employment space and from an organization space, how that works is helpful. Another one is public speaking. A lot of times people in management don't realize how much you're pitching within leadership or outside to other organizations, or even just branding within those spaces as well. Those are workshops that UKG has created so that their employees can learn early, but also build on those skills so that when the time does come or the right position does become available, they're able to see what's there for them and go after it, but also having that skill and that investment from their organization. And then the next one I would say is making sure that your organization has some level of flexibility and even empathy for those employees that are working. I feel with 2020, COVID, some of us are working from home. Some of us, I'm doing this from the comfort of my living room right now. I've been at home since March 17th and probably not going back to the workplace until maybe June or July. So having that flexibility at home has been great. It's allowed me to spend more time with my daughter and help her out as she does schooling from home. But for a lot of organizations now that are starting to rev up and return people, it's kind of like we're going back to the way things have been. And that doesn't always work for your staff, especially for women. So thinking about that flexibility, one of the biggest ones that I'll point out is Salesforce just recently did a survey with their employees saying, you know, hey, are you interested in working hybrid? Or are you interested in working completely from home? Being able to have that flexibility, especially with moms, especially with people who are serving as caretakers, that helps within your space of making sure you're able to keep those employees, but also making sure that you're able to keep women, keep moms, keep those ladies who are taking over most of the caretaker needs within their family due to maybe changes recently due to COVID, so that you're able to help more women thrive within the organization, but also feel a sense of belonging and not feel as if, oh, I'm not working from home, they're probably going to be looking at my position to get rid of. Everyone wants to know that comfort. And I think we all know now that there is a way to work from home where you don't have to feel like that person isn't doing what they need to, or not working at their best. And then another thing I would look at is childcare. A lot of times childcare is not considered, but it could be something as simple as you talking to the YMCA. The YMCA, Boys and Girls Club, locally and nationally, even internationally, have great organizations and have great corporate sponsorships where they meet with different employees to, meet with different employers to make sure that employees are able to get some kind of discount for summer camps that can help keep your employees staff with a place for their kids to go, but also knowing that they're safe, and then also at a discounted rate, so they're not spending all of their income in finding camps or different things of that nature. And then I would also say another thing that we got from UKG is that they invested in online tutoring, so that when everyone started working from home, including employee kids, that there were tutoring outlets available, so that while mom and dad are on a meeting, then the kid can jump on tutoring through a UKG sponsorship and able to get that assistance that they needed. So that helped with cutting down on interruptions in meetings. It also helped cut down on having your Zoom screens cut off. That was one thing that they really noted to us, is that everybody was kind of shining and bright and you didn't hear a whole bunch of yelling in the background, which is kind of common with meetings today with so many people working from home. So if you're looking to expand your DEI workspace, adding more women, people of color, LGBT community, I would highly encourage you to look at those different areas that we discussed. First is community college, boot camps, minority community groups, and then also female groups such as Girl Scouts or even us, Indy Women in Tech. And then also another thing, just to remember when looking to add to that space and looking outside of your network, make sure you're not only doing things to help get people into, but making sure that you're able to retain them once they enter into your organization. So another, just to recap, is mentoring our affinity groups with your organization, being a leader and starting those, creating leadership programs where small workshops where people are able to build into their leadership skills and what they need to be successful. And then lastly, just considering flexibility and empathy, especially for those that are parents, moms, single moms that are working within tech and want to stay and don't want to necessarily make the decision of staying at home and helping my kid or having a thriving career in tech. So that is my presentation for today. It's a little, didn't realize how short it was compared to time, but I am open to taking any questions that you might have.